Hi everyone, so I'm Raphaël, Amiard, as I said, and today I'm going to speak about the Ada and Spark community. So the first question, I guess, is why do we need a strong Ada and Spark community? So as it's a very important topic for us, first, AdaCore, because of course we are selling Ada tools and compilers, so the more Ada programmers, the better for us. But we believe that it is a very important topic for any team or company doing Ada because basically we want to have resources to program in Ada. So we want to have a pool of engineers that know the language and are knowledgeable about the language and that are, recruitable for you for your Ada projects. Also, we want to increase the number of resources that are available to learn the language so that you can use to train your engineers for the technologies, Ada and related technologies. And also, we want to, and that's a very important point, I guess, we want to increase the number of open source projects that are available for you to start from. In certain communities, you have millions of resources available to start from. In the Ada community, it's a bit more dire. I don't know if you guys looked online for Ada resources. It's a bit harder to find than for languages like C++ or JavaScript or those languages. So this is important for us because it's important for the long-term choice of Ada that there is a strong community supporting it so that it can support your choice of Ada and Spark in the long run. So what we've been trying to work on is to change the perception of Ada and Spark. Very often online, I see people discussing Ada and they're like, oh yeah, it was a very cool old language I've heard about in like 20 years ago. And I'm like, it's not that old. It's newer than C, it's newer than Python, it's newer than a lot of languages. So it's very interesting to see that perception and we're trying to change it. Maybe not turn Ada into a cool kids language, but at least show that there is some stuff happening in the Ada and Spark community. So we've been working on that in a group at AdaCore, and we've been seeing some changes in the perception of Ada. So in the past 8 months, we have seen the following changes in some places we track about the community. So there are more people asking questions on Stack Overflow, more people opening Ada projects on GitHub. So if you don't know about it, GitHub is like a big open source project hub where you have a lot of open source projects. We have more Twitter followers and we have more people following Ada News on Reddit, which is a news aggregation site. So we have no idea if this is due to our work, but we want to pretend that it is. But anyway, even if it's not coming from us, it's still a very good news for us. So one of the main tasks we want to work on inside AdaCore, and this is a task where we can have a very positive impact directly, is to enhance the Ada and Spark learning experience. So when I first arrived at AdaCore, I had my job interview and I pretended that I knew Ada already, and that wasn't true. So I had to learn it. So sorry, Nico, yeah. I guess I never say that to you, but okay. And so I had to learn Ada online, and it turned out to be a pretty difficult task at the time. So I don't know if you ever Googled like Ada and some specific construct of the language. The experience can turn out to be a bit dissatisfying at times. So either you get some very old professor's site with some green fonts and Comic Sans, and you're like, I don't know, maybe the information is good, but the website doesn't look very serious. Or you get a link to the reference manual, which is very comprehensive, but it's a bit hard to learn with the reference manual of a language. At least it was for me. So we wanted to enhance the Ada and Spark learning experience. And as you know, we had a website for that already going that is called University with video classes and labs and everything. But for some people, it's not the best format to learn the language because you have to actually go through the whole video. Maybe you just want some piece of information. and you don't want to see it through a whole video. So what we did so far at AdaCore, besides university, is we have done a few books that are very useful and that you can find online, and I think we have a few copies beyond the presentation booth. So this is the stuff that already existed. And what the new stuff that we have done is the learning website, so learn.adacore.com. Maybe you've seen it because it's on demo on one of the computers. And this is trying to enhance the Ada and Spark learning experience. So we have two courses for the moment. One course that is called the Introduction to Ada, and one that is an Introduction to Spark. You may have heard about Spark a little bit the last 2 days, right? So it's for customers and for the community. So you know it's for everybody who wants to learn Ada. And the idea comes from feedback we got from our trainers. I've been doing some trainings at AdaCore before, and very often you will show stuff on slides, and people will be like, can I have an online resource to get more in depth about that stuff? And so this is why we wanted to have a good text-based experience to learn Ada online. So what is nice about this website is that you actually have all the code examples are actually runnable and editable. So while you browse the course, you can try to execute all the code examples and modify them to see how it works. So in my opinion, for Ada, it's cool. But for Spark, it's really a deal breaker because, no, not a deal breaker, sorry, that's not the good word in English. It's deal changer or something like that, you know. Yeah, because game changer, yeah, thank you. Yeah, finally, I had to change every part of the word, but we are good now. So yeah, it's a game changer because proof is not obvious. And as you guessed during the previous presentation, there were some questions about Spark. And so how does it work? How can I prove that? Well, you can test it online with the Learn website very easily because it can run the prover and you can see how it works just right inside the Spark course. So that's very useful. So behind the scene, we use an open format that is called REST that is used to document stuff originally in the Python community. But we have reused the format. It's widely used online now. And we can generate different outputs. So we generate the website from that, but we can generate real books also. And it's hosted on GitHub. So if you find errors in the courses, which you won't because it's perfect, but if you do, you can report them on GitHub. And we already have a few people that contributed enhancements to examples or small fixes, which is a good example of the kind of dynamic we want to create with the Ada community. So we didn't completely get rid of the AdaCore University material because it's very valuable. And we know that some people amongst our customers used it to train their programmers internally. So you can still find it on YouTube and GitHub for the transcripts. So it's still available. The good thing about being on YouTube is that it will work on whatever platform, your phone, etc., etc. So it was something we wanted to do for a long time anyway. And so I think that's all for the learning material. If you have any more questions or you want to play with it, I think Rob is playing with it on the computer back there. So don't hesitate to go, over his shoulder to look at it. So another thing that we worked on is GNAT community. So what is GNAT community? It is our release we make for the community. So we decided it was a good name. Before it was called GNAT GPL. It was available on the Libre site, and we decided to change a little bit how it works. So now it's called GNAT community, and it's available directly from the AdaCore main website so that people can download it and play with it. So it's more than just a rebrand, though. So what did we change in this version? So the first thing is, this little technology you've been hearing about. Well, we decided to put it inside the community release. Before it was available, but you had to download it separately. And now we want everybody to be able to play with Spark, so we've made it part of the main package. So that's the first enhancement we made. So another thing that is new is support for the RISC-V platform and architecture. So has anybody heard about RISC-V in the audience? Yeah? Okay, cool. So for those who don't know, RISC-V is a new CPU architecture, and it's very interesting thing about it is that it is completely open source. So the architecture, the hardware design is open source, and anybody with a factory can make processors for it. It's very interesting for the community, of course, because some people want to have the control over their hardware, but it's also very interesting for industrials and also in our domain because very often the CPU manufacturers won't go where our industry wants to go, and with RISC-V, some people envision having a bit more of control over that because they can control the design, fork the design, and do whatever they want with it. So we have support for 2 boards already that are RISC-V. One is a Hi5 on the left, and the other is a BBC microbit, which is also a very nice platform to learn embedded programming. It's a very small board, it's very inexpensive, and there are a lot of resources to play with it. So it was the first board we supported. So I guess that's it for RISC. So another thing that we are trying to do as part of our community work is to be present at community events. One big event like this that we are trying to be present at every year is FOSDEM. So FOSDEM is a big open source conference in Europe where you have a lot of people from the open source community, and a lot of them don't know about Ada. And so it's very interesting because this year we went there and there was a full room for 2 days of people interested by Ada. So that's the kind of event we try to be present at in order to spread the Ada word, if I might say. Another thing that we are trying to do to involve people with Ada is the Make with Ada competition. So if you haven't heard about it already, this is a competition that we opened so that people like students, but also any people who wants to program in Ada can make a project and try to make the best Ada project with embedded development. And if he's part of the winners, he will have a cash prize. And it's the 3rd edition of the contest, and we have had very interesting projects in the last years. We have had a brushless DC motor control last year that was very impressive. We had a Ethernet monitor made on a small STM card that was very cool too. And so this helps also, create projects that are reusable for the community, because people who won the contest the last 2 years created open source libraries that can be useful for anybody who wants to program embedded Ada. So it has been very successful so far. This year it's hosted on the Axter.io platform that is very popular amongst young makers and hardware hackers, apparently. I wouldn't know about it. So yeah, that's it for Make with Ada. We encourage you to check it out if you are interested. And so that's all for community events. So what do we want to do in the future? In 2019, we want to keep focusing on the same activities. And one of the big pain points we have seen with people trying to program in Ada is, how do I have an environment where I have a library to do this or that? Like, okay, I want to do a video game, so I need to have some library to print on the screen. Or I want to do embedded, I need to interface with captors or whatever, sensors, etc., etc. So we have libraries, maybe not as much as in other languages, but we have some. But what is not obvious yet is how to get them and how to use them. And it's a grab bag of stuff. You have readmes with people saying, oh, you have to get this and that. Well, it's all informal. And sometimes you will spend days trying to configure it. And we want to change that. And the way we want to do that is to make a source package manager available for Ada and Spark. So what is a source package manager? It's an executable that you have on your computer that will allow you to transparently fetch and install libraries for you and all of their dependencies. So you don't have to do that yourself. It sounds simple, but it is a huge time saver, and a lot of languages are starting to have that. So we want that to be available, both for people doing open source software, but also for our customers that want to have a way to install libraries easily. So for the moment, we have based our work on a project that is called a layer that is available on GitHub, and that was started by a community member and a collaborator of ours, that is Alejandro Mosteo. So this is an existing project, and we are trying to collaborate with the community on this one in order to create the best package manager possible for Ada. Also, we want to keep working on Learn because it has proven very successful so far. We have a lot of visits on it, even more than we have on our blog, and we have got really good reports about it. So for the moment, it's only introduction to Ada and Spark, but we want to have more advanced and specific courses, advanced Spark, but also embedded programming in Ada, etc., with specific examples. And another big feature that we want to add is labs. So we have this great interactive widget you can program in. That's the first step. The second step we want is to have actual labs where you have instructions, you need to complete a task, and you have automatic checking that the task has been completed. This will be very useful for our trainings, but also for any of you guys who want to teach Ada to programmers. This will be invaluable resources in our opinion, so this will be a priority in the next year as things we work on. And also, we are going to keep trying to interact as much as possible with academics in order to have a lot of teachers having good resources to teach Ada. So this is a very long, very old ongoing program that we have that is called GAP. And we are putting a lot of energy into it so that teachers have resources. So if you are a teacher and you need anything from us, you need to contact us. We will do our best to give you the best teaching resources that we can. So if you want to check the Ada community, here are the main places. So we have a Twitter, Ada Programmers. There is Ada Reddit. You have the trending projects on GitHub. Stack Overflow if you have any questions. We have some very active members here. Funnily, even if the Ada community is small, your question won't stay unanswered very long because some people want the reputation points, the karma, so they will do anything to answer. So that has proven a very good resources for us. Complang Ada, which is one of the oldest forums but still alive and kicking, and the IRC, and a new platform for instant messaging online that is the AdaLang Gitter. So if you need any more information about those platforms, don't hesitate to ask me. So that's it for my presentation. If you guys have any question about the community, I would be glad to answer them. Thank you.